What's going on, guys? Josh Baldwin here, founder and CEO of Flyer. On this channel, I focus on offering personal finance tips as well as provide entrepreneurs with real-world financial knowledge, business coaching, motivation, and training. Thank you to those of you who watched last week's video. Hopefully you're able to learn some valuable information regarding the CARES Act and how you can instantly gain access to emergency funds by withdrawing money directly from your 401k into your bank account, penalty-free. In this video, I explain exactly the steps I followed to be able to pay over $100,000 in student loan debt in just over 3 years. Let's start from the beginning. So in 2012, I was accepted into the University of California, Irvine. The tuition rate there was about $15,000 a year, and room and board was roughly the same. So each year it cost about $30,000 in total. I attended this school for 5 years, in which I was a part-time student in the last year. Then in June of 2017, I graduated with a bachelor's in aerospace engineering at the age of 22. And each year I applied for financial aid, I was completely rejected. No grants, nothing. As a result of how expensive it was to attend this school and the fact that I didn't receive any financial aid, I ended up graduating with $140,000 in student loan debt at an interest rate of 7.8%. With an interest rate that high, I had to pay almost $1,000 a month just to keep my principal loan balance from going up even more. Now, what happens if you don't pay this interest down? You end up paying what's called capitalized interest, where unpaid interest is added to the principal loan amount of your balance, thus increasing the overall cost of your loan. How did this affect me? Well, for someone like me, who was excited to get out into the workforce and start building wealth, it made me very depressed. While all my friends were graduating with 15 or 30K in student loans, here I was sitting under this mountainous 6-figure student loan balance with just a bachelor's degree. I felt completely alone. Every paycheck I received would simply vanish into thin air because such a large chunk of it would be gobbled up in interest. Not only that, but as many of you know, California has one of the highest tax rates in the country. So in each paycheck I received, I was also losing about 33% in taxes alone. Now, with a 6-figure student loan balance, an insanely high interest rate, and living in one of the highest tax states in the country at age 22, how in the world did I manage to pay off over $100,000 in student loan debt in just over 3 years? This is information I had to learn the hard way. Let's get into it. As an entrepreneur, and even as an employee, the ability to manage money is one of the most vital skills you'll want to learn if you want to be successful. In fact, if you can personally commit to following a system of paying down your debts, you will pretty quickly pick up the skills to become very, very good at money management. And money management is one of the most critical skills you'll need to learn when it comes to financial planning for your business. Now, if you can train yourself to put money towards the right things, you'll start to develop a mindset that will propel you much faster through any venture you decide to start. Because when it comes time to acquiring startup capital for your business, you will already be accustomed to managing your money a certain way and be able to very quickly determine how much money to set aside without getting that worrisome feeling of financial uncertainty. So how do we get better at money management? It's actually very simple. However, it does take discipline, and you will need to follow a few simple rules. The first thing we're going to do is break down the average person's common expenses into 3 categories. I will then explain exactly how to maximize your debt reduction by following a set of methods to handle these expenses. First things first, expenses you can neither control nor avoid. This category will almost always be inclusive of your largest expenses. Take a look at exactly what mandatory bills you owe that month, whether that be your mortgage payment, your auto loan, business insurance, whatever it may be. Whatever bills you have that you are required to pay. Identify what those are, and what you're going to do is pay those exactly on the day you get paid. Don't even wait one more day. Now, if you're paid bi-weekly, maybe your bi-weekly payment isn't enough to cover all the bills for the month. That's okay too. Same rules apply, but in that case, you would pay half your bills on your first biweekly paycheck of the month and the other half on the second biweekly payment for that month. The point is, you want to get these bills out of the way first and foremost before you even think about touching another penny in your account. A lot of people are stuck in the habit of getting their paycheck, spending it over the course of several days, and then paying their bills with what's left, if there even is anything left. This is a trap that you want to avoid because you invite yourself to overspending and not being able to afford your bills when they're due to be paid. And as a result, you'll notice you're now faced with things like penalties, late fees, and other unforeseen expenses. Not only does this extend the time that you'll be paying down your debts, this also hurts your credit score. Definitely not a good thing when you're trying to obtain things like business loans. The next category you need to look at are expenses you can control but can't avoid. In other words, your essentials. Examples of expenses you can control but can't avoid. Things like food, gas. We can control how much food we eat, but we still have to eat. Besides our normal commute, we can control how far we drive in our cars, but we still need to buy gas to get around. Figure out exactly how much you spend on things like food and gas and set that money aside. To find this out, you can try checking your previous bank statements. Also, companies like Bank of America have spending calculators on their website. Now, if at any point you're noticing these expenses are exceeding the amount that you're spending on these mandatory bills, then you'll want to scale back the amount that you're spending on these things. Now, if you don't have a lot of bills yet, maybe your expenses that you can control but can't avoid are higher. Same rules apply. You'll still want to pay these on the day that you get paid. Expenses you can't control nor avoid, you'll always want to pay down first. But also make sure that you set enough money aside for things that you can control but can't avoid, things like food and gas, until your next paycheck rolls around. Last but not least, the final category we have are expenses you can control and avoid. These include things like money for hitting up the club, buying drinks at the bar, Amazon shopping. It's important to have fun, but depending on how much debt you have, you'll want to keep these expenses to a bare minimum, but only after you've paid down your mandatory bills for the month, things that you can't control nor avoid, and you've set enough money aside for things that you can control but can't avoid, things like food and gas. So in summary, with each paycheck you receive, in chronological order, number one, first and foremost, you want to pay down your mandatory bills, right? Things that you can't control nor avoid. Number two, set enough money aside for things that you can control but can't avoid, things like food and gas. And last but not least, you'll want to keep the rest of the money in your account for things that you can control and avoid, things like taking your girlfriend or your boys out to the bar. At least until you get yourself out of large amounts of debt so you can treat yourself to the more luxurious things in life. All right, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. As I mentioned last week, I'll be uploading new videos every Thursday, just like this. And as always, stay hustling, and I'll see you guys next week. Stay safe out there. Peace.